Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Today I wanted to do, I call it a mini explosion card because you know how we've done these explosion cards before when you open it and, like a 12 by 12 paper pops out. This one is not quite that big. We're using a 4 by 8, but I think it still gives a lot of oomph, you know, to the inside of the card. So often we spend time on the outside of the card, but then we don't spend any time on the inside. So this is a way to give a little bit of a wow factor to the inside. So I thought we'd make one, a Thanksgiving card. Just set that to the side. I'll bring it back in at the end. So let's see. I'm going to use, actually, this is an old set, but I really wanted to use the wheat stalks here, because I think that they go well with some of this new paper. So we have, in the mini catalog, we have this paper, and it's called Harvest Meadow. And it's really, really pretty. Don't you think that matches well with this? I thought that really went together. And I don't like to get rid of a lot of my retired sets. I mean, I still use a lot of them. I bought them because I liked them, so I hate to, I get rid of the ones that I don't really use anymore, but I keep a lot of them. This is one of the ones that I always really liked. So let me get a pen. I thought I had one sitting right here, just so I can write down the measurements for everybody. Okay, so the card base is your regular card base. Put that, can you see this here? Yes, you can. Card base. Okay, so it's 5.5 by 8.5, regular size, and we want to score at 2 1/8 on both sides. Okay, so I bring in my trimmer. And the reason, of course, that we're doing that is we're making a gatefold where it opens evenly from both sides. So 2 1/8. Make sure this is in here right. You always have to make sure your paper's, pressed up against here evenly. Oh, and I had already scored this, but 2 1/8 on either side. Boom, you would score. Okay. Fold those in from both sides. And that's how you have your card that's going to open. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I took the Designer Series paper, the same one I'm going to use on the inside, I'm actually going to use on the outside. You don't have to. But these two pieces of Designer Series paper are 5 1/4 by 1 7/8. If you go 2 inches, it's okay, but then you won't have as much of a border around the edge, because remember, this is only 2 1/8 on each side. This paper has this pretty, I think it's Bumblebee here too, which is a nice fall color. Look on that paper. It's okay. It's going to get covered up. And I didn't even make sure, but make sure. See, this paper has direction or directionality, as I've said before. So I want to make sure that my wheat stalks are facing up. Okay? So that's my gatefold card. Then I'm going to take the piece of paper that's going to be my little explosion on the inside. Okay, and this piece of paper, this DSP, is 4 by 8. And I'm going to score on the 8-inch side at 2, 4, and 6. Okay? I'm bringing my trimmer in again, but I'll show you. It's 2, 4, and 6. If for some reason you don't have the trimmer, you know what? This has come out of the well. There we go. If you don't have a trimmer that will do this, you can use your Score It, or your Score Pal. You can use a ruler and a bone folder. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second as well. Okay, so I've got it scored. You can kind of see it on this side better at 2, 4, and 6. Okay, so then I'm going to take, this is going to be like this. And it's scored at 2, 4, and 6. All right, now I'm going to take it and score it from the corner to the 4. Boom, 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 like that. And this corner to this 4. And then do it again on the other side. So I'm winding up with all these little triangles. So if I wanted to do it, not using my, let me just show you how really quick. If you'll take a ruler and line up that 4 mark with the corner, and then you can use either your bone folder, like this, or you can use a stylus. Okay, and that will score just as easily for you. If you don't, have the trimmer that has the score blade, you can also use the trimmer, and if you don't have a score blade, then you can just use your bone folder in the trimmer, and I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, so I've got all of my things here, and like I said, if you didn't have the score blade and you wanted to line it up in here, from that point to here, and then you can just use your bone folder in the well there. All right, so then I wind up with all of these score marks. So I've got my 2, 4, and 6, and then I went crossways here, crossways there, crossways here, and crossways there. All right? Now this side is going to be up. All right, so I'm going to fold now. Let me find those. I'm going to fold all of these fold lines. I'm folding the diagonal ones first. Where did I put my bone folder? I've got 3 of them. There it is. Okay, so I folded those. Then I'll fold the diagonal ones on the other side. Excuse me. Okay. So now when I fold this in on the inside, see I've got all these folds. When I fold this in, this is going to go, this middle is going to be on the bottom of the card, and this is going to just fold down like this. That stays down. Okay, so I'm going to wind up with this kind of a diamond shape. Okay, and that's what's going to go on the inside. So if you will take, this is how this is going to go in here. If you will take the bottom part and put some adhesive on there, you can use liquid, but just remember that if you do, you're going to have to hold it for a little bit and wait for it to dry. This Stampin' Seal works very well, but if you want to use the tear tape, that also gives you some extra hold. All right, so then I want this to open like this with the card. So then I can just and I'll just use the tear tape here just in case. It's going to open and close a lot. So you want to make sure that seal there is going to hold. Excuse me. Between the red tide and something in bloom, my voice is a little bit wonky today. There we go. All right, so then instead of trying to do this out like this, I keep it folded down and then fold my side in, and then that way I know that it's in the right place here also. Okay, so now notice that the card, when you sit it down, it's popping up. All right, so that's what I was going to show you. There's 2 things that you can do to keep the card closed. A belly band, which I'll show you on the next card, or you can make kind of a latch. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp. I don't usually stamp. Oops. I had my 2 pieces of white already cut. Oh, there they are. Nope, that's not it. So that I would be nice and prepared. And then they flew off when I took the trimmer off the table. Oh, that's okay. I'll just cut another one right quick. Yeah, so this one was 1 by 2. You know, stuff happens. It's okay. Everything can be fixed. Nothing's ever a big deal. You know, when you're stamping, you're supposed to be relaxing, not stressing out. So, you know, this is my happy time. I hate to stress about anything. All right. So like I said, I thought that using this this older set, Always Thankful, and you can use whatever set you have. And this, again, doesn't have to be a Thanksgiving card. It could, you know, it could be a birthday card, it could be a Christmas card, it could be whatever kind of card you want it to be. And this was before we had the stickiness on the clear, you know, piece that goes over the top. So I sometimes have to put some adhesive on there. All right, so I want this to be 2 colors. I want to use the Misty Moonlight, and I'll use that for the pale at the bottom. I didn't want to get too many colors in here, but I wanted the wheat to be the crumb cake so that that will match the designer series paper. So I'm just using my markers. And remember, it's easy if you want to have a stamp that's multicolored to use your markers instead of the ink pad. And that way you can get kind of a individualized color palette on here. All right, and then I'm gonna, I always want to huff on it just to kind of reactivate the ink. There you go. I think that turned out pretty. All right. Usually when I'm putting a piece on the front, and this could almost even be just a little bit thinner, but I've already cut it to this size, so I'm going to leave it alone. I want to probably ink the edges a little bit because this seems a little stark to me. And since I'm going to mount it on the Misty Moonlight, I think I will use my crumb cake around the edges. You could use a sponge on this. You could use, you know, you could go for your ink pad just like that. I'm just going to use one of these brushes because I like using them. They're soft and they're nice to use. So I got it a little dark there, but that's okay. I'll actually make it darker around on the other sides, probably to make that match a little bit better. Okay, I think it gives it kind of an antiqued look. And I tell you what, because I do not like, oh, I got it too dark up there too. Because I don't really like the dark there by itself, I think I will make it a little bit darker all the way around. I don't know if I like that as well, but I didn't like just the one dark place. So there's always a fix, you know? Just keep going, and then if you don't like it, you can always start over. All right, so that doesn't look so bad to put the dark all the way around. Okay, so then I'm going to mount it on my mat here, Misty Moonlight. Okay, and then I want to attach that to the front of the card. Doesn't that look pretty? Wow. Okay, so I'm going to attach it just on the one side. So I'm just going to put adhesive over here. Again, If you're going to use a liquid, you're going to have to hold it for a little bit. Okay, so notice now, even with something kind of halfway holding it down, it still stays popped up. Okay, so that's why I have the peach here. I'm holding down the corner of that, and I thought I would do the same thing here. So I'm just going to stamp the word grateful. So we had two words here. And I'm going to use the grateful. Again, this needs some adhesive on it. And I could take that. I've got some of these adhesive sheets. I could take it and add it to it, but I don't think I'm going to do that. And I think because this is going to be matted on the Misty Moonlight, I think, again, I'm going to use the crumb cake. And just because I've already got the pins out, looks like I've got something on there, doesn't it? Well, if you're not sure what it's going to look like, always stamp it first. No, I didn't have anything in the way. I'll just use the pad. Got the grateful, and I think I'll go ahead and stamp the other words too while I've got this stamp pad open, so then I can close it and I don't get ink all over myself. I can't stamp without having ink all over me. I'll always, I'll go to the post office or something and I'll look at my hands and go, oh my gosh, looks like I didn't even wash my hands. All right, now let's clean that up in a minute. All right, so we'll put this on here. And I tell you, I didn't give you the size for the papers here in the mats. I can, but yours are going to be different depending on what stamp set you're using. So just make them the sizes, to fit whatever stamps you're using, because you probably, maybe you do have this set, but you probably don't. Probably working with something else. All right, so now I want this to go on here. See, and it's going to hold this down. So I think I want it up here because I don't want to cover the pot there. Or I could even put it this way. No, I think I'll put it this way. Okay, so I'm going to put two dimensionals way over on this side. That'll be my little kind of a latch to keep it closed. It's nice to use this point to take, sometimes the covers on these dimensionals or on the tear tape are hard to get off with your fingernails, so it's nice to use that. All right, I'm going to take this up further. Okay, so see how now that's keeping the card closed and becomes my latch. And then on the inside, I'll just add this. I went a little bit big here, and that's going to have to fold in a little bit on the edges. Think about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. See, I just folded it a little bit so that it will fit in the middle. Again, there's always a fix. You can cover something up. You can cut it a little bit smaller. There we go. All right. So that would be the card that you would send, and then they would open it and have that in the inside. So I think that came out pretty, and I just love this paper. All right, so that's using a latch to keep it closed. All right, so I thought maybe I would also do a Halloween card. But it's interesting because the Halloween paper, I think is just adorable. This cute Halloween DSP, it's 6x6 paper. So I thought, how can we use a piece of 6x6? Because this piece was 4x8. So I made a little bit of a diagram also, so that if we have the paper that's 4 by 6, this side is 4, this side is 6, we're going to score it at 1 inch from either side. Okay? And then you're going to mark it at 3 in the middle, and you're going to mark it up 1 inch from either side. 1, 1, 1, 1. And then you're going to score from that 1 inch mark to the middle. And that way it will still be crossing in the correct place. Otherwise, it gets too small. You know, if you just try to do it evenly like we can with the 4 by 8. So let me show you. So this way, see, I've scored it. And if you mark it on the back, see, I marked it on the back at 3 inches and 3 inches, and then 1 inch down and 1 inch down. And then I scored from the 1 inch to the 3 inch, and from that 1 inch to the top middle, and then here to the 1 inch down, and there to the 1 inch down. So it's not quite as easy, I don't think, as using this, but this is what you can do then when you have 4 by 6 paper. Okay, so I'm using the, again, the gatefold is exactly the same, scoring in 2 1/8 from either side. And I think that this Highland Heather is just such a pretty Halloween paper. And then I'm going to go ahead and mat the front this time. I didn't last time, so that's just another option for you. This is just the cutest paper. And I don't, you know, my kids aren't at home anymore, but I have nieces and nephews that have kids now. I don't have any grandkids yet. But my nieces and nephews' children, I still try to send all the, you know, the kid kind of cards too. So I thought this would be a great paper for that. And again, watch your direction. You don't want to put one of the ghosts upside down and one right side up. Same thing with the skulls, you know, and again, sometimes it doesn't matter, like if you've got bats flying all around or something, but sometimes it does, so you have to watch that. All right, so now we've got this. I've got my paper folded, and again, I don't have as much on either side because it's only 6 inches instead of 8, but it's still going to fold in at the same way, but you're just going to have this little tiny piece that you can put the adhesive on. So I'm going to definitely use the Tear Tape on this one because there's not going to be that much attached. So I want to make sure that what's there is really holding well. So we are able to adapt to the 6 by 6 paper. It just doesn't turn out to be exactly the same. Whoops, and I forgot to put the adhesive on the bottom first. Okay. All right, so put this one in the middle. Okay, and then see, remember I put the adhesive right there? See, that will open it. But you've only got just that little piece holding on. But if I have a 6 by 6 paper, you know, this is how I can get around doing that. I could also actually do 4 by 4 and just attach 2 of them at the same, but I think that becomes a little more than I was wanting to do. But you could adapt and do that. Okay, so see this still opens. That's still adorably cute. All right, so then I'm going to put the Happy Halloween on the inside. And for this one, to keep it closed, I'm going to do a belly band. So I took the extra pieces from this little skeleton, and they're cut at one. These are 1 inch. You can make the belly band as large or small as you want. Okay, and then I just lay it on here and fold it rather than trying to measure first and fold. Because this way, because the card's a little bit thicker, so you don't want it to be so thick that you can't get the band off and on. So we'll do that. And then this other piece, just attach here. And like I said, I'm only doing this because the gatefold cards won't stay completely shut. So there we go. I just cut off a little bit extra. All right, so see now I've made my band based on the card size. It can be larger than 1 inch wide if you want it to be. All right. And I slide that up, and that will hold the card closed. And I'll put the little boo on there on the front. And I'm going to pop that up. I'll use my mini. I thought I had some mini dimensionals here. I do. Sometimes the regular size. Flinging stuff around the desk, aren't I? Okay. The regular size sometimes are a little bit too big for some of these small things. So I will just use the mini. Okay. And put that on here. I want to show you the stamp set for this too. All right, so we have a boo, and then they would take off the belly band to open the card and what says Happy Halloween. So again, that's adapting for the 6x6 paper. Like I said, if you wanted to, you could actually use 2 pieces of 4x4, but then it's not going to be, it's going to have a seam down the middle, which you absolutely could do. It's not horrible. All right, so the other thing I was going to show you is on this set. I loved this Happy Halloween because it was the right size, and I wanted to use the boo. Okay, so I just inked up the boo. I didn't want the S. I just inked up the word boo and stamped that to get that there. Again, that's an old set. Okay, so I hope that you might try doing one of these gatefold. Maybe they're called a mini explosion card because, we don't get the huge explosion that you do on a regular explosion card. And you can close them either with a belly band. And this one's just so easy with just this really cute paper. And then the little explosion. We did this one that has the little latch. And we also did this one that has the latch. And then when they open, you just have a nice thing on the inside. Again, you've just got room to sign it. You don't have to worry about writing a whole lot if you don't like to do that. I could have inked around that too if I wanted to. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one and that maybe you'll give it a try. Have a great day.